An early morning storm strikes without warning, plunging 2 American schooners to the bottom of a vast lake.
They really were 2 of the most spectacular wrecks that could be found anywhere.
A watery grave for over 80 sailors. The largest single loss of life on the Great Lakes during the War of 1812.
I can see where this would really scare a lot of non-divers. Oh, it scares the diver.
What are you talking about? It scared me, man.
There was no Navy inquest. Now, nearly 2 centuries later, father and son diver explorers Mike and Warren Fletcher embark on the first scientific mission to get inside the wrecks since they sank. Two of the best preserved wooden shipwrecks in the world lie on the bottom of Lake Ontario in Canada. Discovered by an amateur archaeologist in 1973, these American vessels, the Hamilton and the Scourge, have been frozen in time for nearly 200 years. Wooden ships decay rapidly in seawater. Bacteria and salt break down wood and corrode metal. But the cold, fresh water of the Great Lakes has protected these wrecks, making them rare surviving examples of 19th century schooners. Both the Hamilton and the Scourge were sunk in the middle of the night by a violent summer storm. Today, the schooners rest upright. Elaborate wood carvings still grace their bows, and guns line their decks, seemingly ready for action, just as they were the night they sank. These priceless wrecks rest only 113 kilometers from Mike and Warren's home base.
You always imagine that the most exotic, the most exciting things happen somewhere else. But here with the Hamilton and Scourge, practically in my backyard. And they really were 2 of the most spectacular wrecks that could be found anywhere.
The Hamilton was 20 meters long, weighed 69 tons, and was armed with 9 guns. The smaller 41-ton Scourge measured just 17 meters, but 10 guns lined her deck. Both vessels were simple merchant schooners pressed into service for the American Navy. Roughly 40 or 50 men served aboard each of the converted vessels. 1813. The United States and Britain were in the middle of a 3-year war. A war that would decide the fate of the vast northern territory that is now Canada, and that came to be known as the War of 1812. That spring and summer, the 2 navies engaged in battles across the Great Lakes. On the night of August 8th, 13 American vessels and 6 British faced each other only 1 kilometer apart on Lake Ontario. It was a warm, windless summer night. The 2 fleets silently at rest. Around 2 a.m., a violent storm struck without warning. When dawn broke, the Hamilton and the Scourge were at the bottom of the lake. Over 80 American sailors died, making it one of the Navy's largest losses of life until the Civil War, nearly 50 years later. The rest of the American fleet was unscathed. There was no Navy inquest and no official investigation into the sinking or loss of life.
Sailing Master Joseph Osgood, Steward John Cochran, and Boy Joseph Phillips.
The United States has designated the wrecks as war graves in what are now Canadian waters. Since 1976, they have been protected as a National Historic Site. The remains of 6 of the sailors lie on the lake bed near the schooners. Perhaps they drowned trying to escape the sinking vessels. The rest of the crew have never been found and could lie within the wrecks. Why so many drowned that night is still a mystery.
When I first started hearing about the Hamilton Scourge, I didn't think about the individuals, but those remains were real people. They had names, they had families.
The Fletchers want to find out what happened and why so many perished that summer night. To do so, they need to get inside the wrecks, something that's never been done before. It's not going to be easy. The wrecks are in 90 meters of frigid water, but the cold, averaging just 4 degrees Celsius, may have preserved clues as to what happened that night. Now, for the first time ever, the Fletchers join forces with a multi-year scientific and archaeological survey of the wrecks to enter this vanished world.
By going down below, under the deck, we can really gather the only information that's available. Are there supplies? Are there barrels of food? Is there shot? Is there ballast? All of the things required to make a naval ship operate out on the lake. Are we going to find evidence of that below decks? And that's one of the tantalizing questions.
Yeah.
No plans or blueprints exist for the interiors of either schooner. The location of walls and supports may shed light on why they went down so fast. The expedition may also find the missing crew's skeletal remains. If the schooners went down suddenly, many may have been trapped below deck. The positioning of their remains could provide evidence of how and why so many drowned. The wrecks are war graves, so the team must station the expedition boat at a safe distance and hold it fast with mooring buoys instead of anchors that could cause damage.
Here you can see the wreck of the Scourge, and we've made a deliberate decision to position the moorings almost 100 meters away from the wreck site.
In 1980, Canada restricted scuba diving on the site, so they must use remotely operated submersibles, or ROVs, to get inside.
The ROVs, we've got the potential to have a lot of bottom time.
Yeah. To do a scuba dive, you'd only get a really short bottom time. I mean, if you were really pushing it, you might get 20 minutes, even maybe a half an hour, but you'd be a long, long time coming back to the surface, I can tell you.
The expedition will need every minute they can get to investigate. Without plans to guide them, they'll be flying blind. Access points are limited. The Hamilton has 3 small hatches, and the Scourge, 4. Each schooner also has a small row of stern windows. This will make entry a challenge, but it also may have prevented sailors from escaping. According to the one eyewitness account, the storm hit so suddenly that many could have been caught in the living quarters. To find out, the Fletchers planned to simulate the conditions below deck the night of the disaster. The test will shed light on the challenges faced by escaping crew. Survival systems in Halifax train military personnel and emergency responders how to survive being trapped underwater within a vessel. Mike and Warren want to use its $5 million simulator to learn what the crew would have experienced during the sinking.
In a simulation like this, where it's a shipwreck simulation, the big problem is the onrushing water and the disorientation that causes. Really, the only thing that you can rely on is physical reference. And in this particular simulation, there's not much in there for physical reference. It's just an empty capsule with one exit.
To make the simulation as realistic as possible, the Fletchers rely on the only eyewitness report. Ned Myers was a gunner on the Scourge and one of only 8 survivors of a crew estimated to be around 45. Writer James Fenimore Cooper, author of The Last of the Mohicans, told Myers' story in a biography published in 1843.
The captain looked at the heavens and remarked that the night was so calm and the English were so near. We should certainly engage if there came a breeze.
The crew left the sails up, and Myers slept on deck beside his gun.
Okay, let's go ahead and turn on the storm conditions.
The simulator uses 2 industrial fans to create wind,
Turning into a dark and stormy night here.
along with wave and rain generators to replicate the weather conditions on the night of the sinking.
I awoke in consequence of large drops of rain falling on my face. I meant to go down and get a nip out of a little stuff we kept in our mess chest, when a flash of lightning almost blinded me.
All we need now is some lightning.
Yeah, some thunder.
Our deck seemed on fire, a most awful and infernal din of thunder, and shrieks and dazzling flashes of lightning. the wind blowing all the while like a tornado.
With the sails up, Myers feared the winds would literally blow the vessel over. He sprang to release them.
The water was now up to my breast, and I knew the schooner must go over.
There it goes.
The winds blew the Scourge onto her side, and water poured into the deck hatches.
Really go right upside down.
I can see where this would really scare a lot of non-divers. Oh, it scares the
What are you
diver.
talking about? It scared me, man.
The violent storm that struck both the Hamilton and the Scourge was likely a weather event called a downburst. These intense localized weather systems often occur on the Great Lakes during thunderstorms, striking in just seconds. Cold air from the storm front drops through the warmer air, hitting the lake, and blasts out like an explosion. The initial wind gusts can reach 150 kilometers an hour. They would have struck the sails that Myers failed to release, blowing the schooners over.
I have to admit, I don't know what to expect when I get inside this thing. It looks pretty wild. I think it's gonna be pretty intense.
Questions still remain. Did the vessel's internal structure inhibit the flow of water? How difficult was it for the sailors to get up onto the deck? Further investigation will be needed before Warren can simulate the schooner's final moments. The expedition heads to the site of the Scourge. They hope Ned Myers' account will help guide them inside for the first time in nearly 200 years. Scientists, archaeologists, and marine technology experts make up the 18-member exploration team, determined to study and penetrate the schooners. Archaeologist Jonathan Moore and engineer Bob Clark from ASI Group spent 6 months developing the ROV dive plans for the operation to make the most efficient use of each dive.
Jonathan's passion is the vessels and the archaeology of it. The things I get excited about is the technology that we're able to bring.
Okay, you're clear.
They use a $350,000 ROV, the CI Falcon, connected to the expedition's ship by a tether. It's about 1 meter long, weighs under 100 kilograms, and has a depth rating of 300 meters. Dan Cousineau has logged nearly 200 hours piloting the ROV. He flies it down 90 meters, beyond the reach of sunlight, to find his prey, the Scourge. The first dive mission will examine the Scourge from bow to stern, searching for the best point of entry. Piloting the ROV demands intense focus. The vehicles have no peripheral vision, so Dan relies on the onboard camera and sonar to maneuver the ROV above the fragile wreck. Slowly, the bowsprit on the front of the Scourge comes into focus.
Been waiting a long time to see the Scourge on the bottom. It's fantastic to finally get to see him. Is that the figurehead of the Scourge?
That's right. That's Lord Nelson, famous British admiral.
The Scourge was originally a British cargo vessel called the Lord Nelson. Her name was changed, but sailors believe it is bad luck to alter a figurehead. So the schooner sailed into combat against the British with Nelson, a British hero, still gracing her bow.
It's upsetting to see so much of this amazing wreck covered in mussels.
The mussels came in late 80s. They were on the sites by around 2000.
Zebra and quagga mussels blanket the wreck. Their added weight increases the danger of structural collapse. Mussels collect their food from water currents, so they rarely migrate into the interior spaces of shipwrecks where the waters are still. The team hoped the schooner's interior has been spared. The interior compartments of the Hamilton and the Scourge were originally designed to carry cargo across the Great Lakes.
Normally they carried the cargo down in the hold and put the weight down low. Now they've got all these heavy guns on the deck, and modifications with that have changed the buoyancy characteristics of the ship.
It must have.
The Scourge's 10 guns added roughly 8.5 tons to the schooner's deck, changing how the vessel handled. Any changes below deck could have affected how quickly water could fill the vessel. This information could help explain the high loss of life. The ROV reveals a bow hatch choked with silt. The stern hatch is also blocked, this time by boarding pikes, used to hold on to other vessels at close range. They need to find another way into the wreck. The ROV moves to investigate the stern of the Scourge.
So here, these are sliding window sashes that go up into the transom.
Wow.
In Meyer's account, these windows led to the quarters of Sailing Master Osgood, the Scourge's captain. Glass windows, perhaps raised by Osgood in the hope of relief from the heat during the warm summer night.
And look, we're getting a really good view through. Danny, so you can hold the whole position.
Second window inside right
There's
there.
another opening.
The second opening is an important discovery. The ROV could use it to move from the captain's quarters into the heart of the Scourge.
Nedmar says in his narrative that he made his way to the fashion piece, which is a timber that defines the outer shape of the transom of the stern.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the spot right here.
I stood for an instant on the fashion piece. I saw Mr. Osgood with his head and part of his shoulders through one of the cabin windows, struggling to get out.
But the window opening is little more than 20 by 40 centimeters, roughly the size of a laptop computer. Perhaps too small for Captain Osgood to escape. His remains could still be inside. But the window is also too small for the ROV. The team must find another way to get in. They turn to a specialized piece of kit, a micro ROV, engineered to carry a high-definition camera. The video ray is one of the smallest ROVs in the world.
The unit itself is so compact that we can literally take it on as checked luggage on an airplane and go wherever we need to go.
Craig Thorngren is an expert pilot with more than 1,500 hours of flying time. The ROV is the size of a large shoebox, but this tiny device is also built tough to withstand the pressure over 100 meters below the surface.
We've got 2 horizontal thrusters
Yeah.
for forward and reverse, and they're powered by this control stick here. So you go
Okay.
forward, reverse, left and right.
So what did it take to get really good at flying the ROV?
A lot of practice.
The micro ROV is capable of working in hostile environments. Craig has used it to investigate more than 50 shipwrecks, including the USS Arizona, bombed at Pearl Harbor. It is the expedition's best chance of getting inside the Scourge. But the stern section is extremely delicate.
We've got a lot of material that's very loosely attached, a lot of decay and potential collapse. So let's consider this stern area as potentially a house of cards, you know?
One wrong move from Craig could damage the stern structure of the Scourge. The Fletchers use the archaeologist data to build a life-size model of the window, so Craig can practice threading the needle.
Neither a human nor a camera has ever penetrated inside the wreck. Who knows what you're going to find in there?
ASI has a 70,000-liter tank used for planning complex ROV field operations like this one.
What do you think, John?
It's excellent because I think it gives a really good impression of the complexity of the shape of the stern. So when the ROV is attempting to fly horizontally, it's coming here at this angle, but this does not present a perfectly flat open window.
No.
We've got to fly through a fairly complex shaped opening.
The pressure is on Craig to prove that he can negotiate the approach and fly through the window without damaging the priceless wreck. Warren will monitor the ROV's progress from within the tank.
Craig, what we're going to do now is approach slowly and assess the size of the opening.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to fit through just fine.
Okay. So let's proceed through the opening.
This job isn't for shaky hands. Craig must exercise precise control, threading the ROV on a straight path through the complex angle of the window.
You're going to have restricted vertical clearance, so you're going to have deck beams above you, and you might not have a whole lot of clearance below you either.
Craig clears it without making any contact.
Okay, perfect.
If Craig makes it into the Scourge, they will first examine the cabin layout and search for archaeological evidence, furniture, personal belongings, and possibly Osgood's remains. From there, they will try to penetrate further and uncover how the schooner's structure may have affected the crew's escape. The flight back through is a little bumpier, but the team can take a bow. They have proven that the ROV can fit through the window.
Would you say the pressure's off now that you know that the ROV is going to fit through the window?
In a way, I think that it's going to be a lot more difficult on the wrecks. He can't approach from every direction he wants. He's got to come in from the port side, and there are going to be guns and other things that he's got to navigate around. So there's a lot of other factors that are going to make it much more complicated.
Every dive's a challenge. There's no doubt about it.
I've waited a long time to see inside there.
I have too.
And maybe we're getting a glimpse of something that may not last.
It's inevitable that that stern structure is going to collapse.
It's our moment.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Remember the house of cards scenario at the stern here with respect to the planking and all those fragile features?
The expedition boat is stationed nearly 100 meters away from the site. The offset protects the Scourge, but it also means that Craig doesn't have a clear line of approach to the captain's window. His descent takes nearly 25 minutes, and he must pilot around the stern quarter to meet with Dan's ROV, taking extra precaution not to snag on any part of the vessel. Jonathan holds the archaeological permit for the project and must ensure the historic wrecks are not damaged during the exploration. Each ROV trails 240 meters of tether, stretching back to the expedition boat. They must thread their way through fallen sections of fragile mast, rigging, and the pulley-like davits used to lower and raise the Scourge's dinghy. If a tether were to get snagged, it could trap an ROV or worse, damage the wreck while shaking free. The two ROVs line up and approach the stern windows. Dan pulls back to illuminate the entire area. Just a few more centimeters, and Craig will be inside.
Take them right over. Just
Yeah, I
right
think
there
you're
in
in
the
good
hole.
position here.
When we come down, I mean, no time like the present.
Craig needs to approach straight on, just as he did in the test tank, in order to navigate the angle of the window. One of the team controls his tether, providing the ROV with full range and motion to maneuver. Too little slack in the tether, and it won't reach its target. Too much slack, and it may get hung up and damage the Scourge.
Looks like you're not gaining depth there.
Hey, you're paying out tether for me.
Got
Hold
it
on, I'm
back.
getting pulled. I think you've got my tether.
No, I don't think so. I'll stop there. I'll stop.
Something is wrong. The tether is too tight and is preventing Craig from making a straight approach on the window.
It's no good how you're getting pulled back.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
Dan pulls back. His light reveals Craig's tether caught on the Scourge's stern davit. The ROV is stuck, and one wrong move could damage the Scourge. The snag tether makes it nearly impossible for the ROV to get inside the Scourge. Even worse, the tether sawing back and forth could cause damage. Craig carefully maneuvers to get free. If the davit snaps, serious damage could result to the entire stern structure.
Are we clear?
Not quite. You need to go a little bit to your port.
When you're starting to put a lot of strain on it, back and forth, it's not something I like.
Straight ahead there. And you're almost clear. You just gotta get a little bit more. Oh, there you go. You're good. Nice job, Craig.
Thank you.
Okay, let's.
The position of the expedition boat forces Craig to work at a challenging approach angle to the window. Jonathan is worried about damaging the wreck.
What if we came as far forward on the forward line on the boat as we can? Just to move the whole boat this way.
The boat's moorings can't be changed, but a shift of even a few meters might be enough to give Craig a more direct approach angle to the stern windows.
97, yeah, we're closer to the center of the wreck.
Oh yeah, much better.
Is it better?
Much better. Here we go.
Are you getting pulled back?
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, give me a little more tether.
Warren takes charge of the tether.
Slow her down.
I'm trying.
Craig battles with the approach angle to the window. The muscle buildup adds another obstacle.
Whoa. Back off.
The sonar on the micro ROV hits the delicate window frame.
I think we need to pull back and let's reassess.
They review the footage to decide whether to proceed. Jonathan is the archaeologist in charge, so he has the final say.
You're fighting to come around, so you're facing difficulty even before you get towards the window.
The team are split. Craig believes he can get inside.
The windows look a lot larger than what we were originally thinking. Especially that one that doesn't have the muscle. I mean, I understand your concerns,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong.
I think it's a combination of the size, the restricted size of the window, the fragility, and I just think it might be just too risky to...
Go on, okay.
Jonathan calls off the attempt. He believes any small bump could trigger the collapse of the stern section.
There's a huge frustration for any diver who becomes limited by someone else's rules. When you work really closely with archaeologists, you start to think like an archaeologist. And you start to get really worried about bumping into things or knocking a zebra mussel loose.
They need a new approach if they hope to answer why so many men died on the night of August 8, 1813. Mike and Warren investigate another 19th century schooner that shares a similar design to the Hamilton and the Scourge. They hope its internal hull design will shed light on what happened below deck during the sinking. The tiller wreck lays only 7 kilometers south of the Hamilton and the Scourge. She rests in just over 30 meters of water, making her much more accessible. The government forbids the use of scuba equipment for any commercial dive deeper than 30 meters. So the Fletchers must use surface-supplied air to dive on the tiller. Once they surface, they must enter a decompression chamber to purge their bodies of nitrogen gas that builds up in the blood during the dive.
Nitrogen, it's not assimilated by your body, all right? So what happens is the gas itself will come out of solution as soon as you hit the surface, and we don't like bubbles in our bloodstream that isn't oxygen.
The Fletchers will enter the chamber immediately after surfacing or risk getting decompression sickness.
Full-on commercial diving equipment, very cumbersome. You feel extremely awkward. But I did thousands and thousands of that style of dive throughout my commercial career.
They dive using tethers, a lifeline of air, and means of communication with each other and the surface. But if they aren't careful, their tethers could become entangled in the wreck. The dive plan gives them just 30 minutes to investigate. Mussels cover the tiller as well. But at 4 square meters, her hatches are nearly 4 times as large as those on the Hamilton and the Scourge.
Dad, I'm going to see if I can enter the ship through the hatch at the bow.
The tiller was a cargo schooner, like the Hamilton and the Scourge before they were converted for war.
I think I can fit through. I'm going to drop inside and take a look at the internal structure.
Getting a glimpse of the interior of the cargo schooner provides the team with new information. These interior spaces were designed to maximize cargo capacity. Yet when the Hamilton and the Scourge became Navy vessels, the same sorts of holds may have become homes to 40 or 50 men.
Are you moving forward or aft? Over. I'm heading aft right now. I can see the transom ahead of me. I can see the deck beams.
Support beams for the deck are the only remaining structural features.
It appears to be literally wide open. I don't see any bulkheads or anything separating the different areas of the ship. It's really odd.
Open space below deck makes sense on a schooner like the tiller with a small crew designed to haul cargo. But on a vessel converted for war with dozens of men living below, it could have made it harder for them to escape the sinking. On purpose-built warships of the time, partitions separated the living, fighting, and storage spaces. These compartments would slow the ingress of water, potentially giving the crew more time to get out. But if the Hamilton and the Scourge share the same internal structure as the tiller, the crew may have had just seconds to escape.
I can only imagine what it would have been like if you had 40 or 50 men, like on the Hamilton and the Scourge down here, struggling to get out of the hold.
The Fletchers have just 7 minutes from their final decompression stop to surface and make it into the chamber to complete their decompression. Any delay and they risk contracting the bends. They reach the surface, but their tethers get tangled. Mike and Warren work together to free themselves from the constricting lines.
Warren needs some slack on the line.
Slack the dynamo.
Dad, see if you can swim around and untangle it. I can't move anywhere.
They have just 3 minutes to clear their tethers and make it to the decompression chamber.
I think I can see where it's hung up. I got it.
Warren untangles the lines.
Come on, Mike. Got Warren.
With less than 2 minutes remaining, the support crew must free them from their helmets, harnesses, and dry suits.
Abstract.
Dangerous nitrogen will bubble in their blood. Prolonged exposure can cause paralysis or even death.
30 seconds.
They rush to the decompression chamber and make it with just 10 seconds to spare.
Have a good flight, boys.
Sealed inside the steel tank, the pressure is set to match their final in-water decompression stop.
Gentlemen, you are at depth. Start breathing O2.
The Fletchers have got their first look at the interior of a similar 19th century cargo vessel. But are the Hamilton and the Scourge as open below deck as the tiller wreck? Or were walls and partitions added when they were converted for battle to handle the increased crew size? If they are open, water could have flooded the schooners in just seconds, leaving those below deck with little time to escape. The Hamilton wreck site is the last chance for answers. She was sunk by the same terrible storm and lies just 500 meters from the Scourge. But there is no eyewitness account of the Hamilton sinking.
All right, Warren, we're good to splash.
At 20 meters long and 6 meters wide, she is larger than the Scourge, but has only 3 deck hatches, with the largest opening measuring just 1.5 meters square. The search for an entry point begins at the bow. The ROV scours the deck looking for a way to drop inside. There were only 8 survivors from the roughly 40 or 50 men serving on board. Few remains have ever been found.
Dan? Yes. Can you come back out and around, please, so we can monitor Craig going in? That'll give an extra set of eyes for him as well.
Absolutely.
The team move cautiously, aware that this is a war grave and that human remains could lie right below.
When a drowning victim goes to the bed of the sea or the lake, wherever they sink, they don't move much.
That's one of the beauties of the Great Lakes. There aren't the strong currents, the tidal currents, and the big hurricane storms and things that tend to move stuff around on the bottom. It's so still down there.
And nor are there the organisms that consume the bones.
Both of these wrecks present a really good preservation environment for delicate organic materials such as bones and wood.
Craig moves into position above the forehatch. Mussels cover the opening, reducing access. He carefully moves the ROV lower. This time, the maneuver is perfect. He's in. Topside, images of the Hamilton's hold appear on the monitor. Mussels have penetrated the interior, but in much smaller numbers. The team enter the Hamilton's compartments for the first time since the night she sank, almost 200 years ago.
We're seeing obviously some kind of debris.
Broken wooden planking that might have been cabin fittings or furniture for the crew. Craig rotates just below the hatch, revealing a wide open compartment, much like the tiller wreck. The visible evidence suggests water could have flooded it in mere seconds.
It would have been quite something at that spot when the vessel sank.
How did Ned describe it? It was like water running into a sluice.
Myers believed the storm caught many sailors below deck.
Those who were stationed below slept below. I think it probable that as the night grew cool, as it always does on fresh waters, some of the men stole below to get warmer berths.
But the ROV is not finding skeletal remains in this part of the schooner. Craig brings the ROV back out of the compartment and directs it aft where it finds the vessel's dinghy. It appears that the Hamilton sank so fast, there was no time to escape. Craig moves to his next target, the aft hatch.
How's the umbilical looking, Dan?
It's still going in really smooth. It's not touching anywhere.
The hatch is clear, so Craig presses on, dropping nearly 2 meters below deck. The team spots something within the compartment. A musket rack with muskets still in it lines the interior wall just inside the hatch.
Let's count them. Like maybe you can
11.
count them out.
I count 11 this way.
The muskets, kept close at hand, are evidence of the soldiers and crew living below deck.
Here it's
Exactly. Very good. Excellent. Excellent.
Craig must navigate an incredibly tight area in order to get deeper inside the wreck.
I think you're gonna have to pull back without hitting that stanchion that's right there. We don't want to touch that at all. That's extremely fragile.
This passageway is where the men would have been scrambling to try and escape. But it is narrow, even for the micro ROV. Moving just a centimeter at a time, Craig moves ahead in the tight space.
Nice driving, Craig.
Creeping deeper into the wreck, they are rewarded with another discovery.
Does this look like the bottom of a shelf here?
The team spots something that could be a link to the Hamilton's crew, a horizontal plank.
See, that could actually be a bunk. That could be a bunk, and this could be the lower bunk. That could be
It's open underneath.
This looks like the crew's sleeping quarters, where sailors may have awakened to an overwhelming onrush of water.
So, John, if that is a bunk, if Hamilton met a very sudden end, then this is definitely an area where humans could have been trapped below decks.
Absolutely.
A blanket of silt covers the deck, entombing the crew's remains forever.
Warren, let's go ahead and start pulling it back in.
The micro ROV gives the team a window on the past, revealing the interior compartments of the Hamilton. The lack of visible bulkheads or partitions meant water could pour in from the hatches. But how difficult would it be for the crews to escape the capsized schooners as they filled with water? At Survival Systems, the Fletchers prepare the simulation of the last moments of the Hamilton and the Scourge.
I wouldn't say I'm nervous, but I can feel a little butterfly there.
I think it is going to be difficult. I think there's a lot of water moving through one exit. And it's not a particularly big exit, which means the onrush is going to be pretty heavy.
Mike stays outside, ready to help if Warren becomes injured. He will also time how long Warren is trapped within the capsule.
There, we got the wave ball going. Make some nice big waves for us.
I awoke in consequence of large drops of rain falling on my face. I meant to go down and get a nip out of the little stuff we kept in our mess chest, and that I would bring up the bottle, when a flash of lightning almost blinded me.
Think we're getting ready. Oh my gosh. This is so intense.
"17 tons of water blast through the hatch, pushing all of the air out of the capsule.
The water was pouring down the cabin companionway like a sluice.
Oh, where am I? Oh my gosh. Which way is up?
I watched 30 seconds go by and then almost a minute. How would somebody do that if they didn't have scuba equipment? And especially if it happened suddenly and in the dark.
After nearly a minute, the standby divers check on Warren to ensure he hasn't been injured. At last, Warren struggles free, but is met with the chaos of the storm on the surface.
I made a spring and fell into the water, several feet from the place where I had stood. It is my opinion the schooner sunk as I left her.
But it happens fast, man, a lot faster than I expected. The water just is, you see it coming in and then you're underwater.
Those sailors would have been taken by surprise and would have had just a few terrifying moments to reach the deck.
It definitely brings it home for me what actually happened that night and the challenges that these guys were up against, you know, immediately just survive and get out of the ship, and I can see why a lot of them died.
Ned Myers was one of the lucky ones. Within moments of jumping into the water, he found the Scourge's dinghy and climbed in. He went on to save the other 7 men who survived the sinking. Nearly 200 years later, a scientific expedition has entered one of the schooners for the first time, gathering archaeological evidence and shedding light on why so many died. For the crews of the Hamilton and the Scourge trapped below deck, the schooner's interiors would become their coffins. A tiny volcanic island in the Western Pacific, this was the top-secret launch pad for the atomic bombs that ended the Second World War. America dropped Fat Man and Little Boy on Japan, and they had secret plans for dozens more.
Dad, check this out.
A present-day Los Alamos bomb maker believes that when the war ended, the parts for those A-bombs were dumped here.
These pieces ended the darkest time in human history. They're out there somewhere.
Now, for the first time, a hunt is on to find them.
I think I found a bomb.
Father and son diver explorers Mike and Warren Fletcher search for components from the bomb that changed the world. Glenn McDuff is a nuclear physicist and bomb builder. He spent decades tracking down secret documents, photographs, and first-hand accounts of the men who made the atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan. And he believes that when the war ended, components for many more bombs were left behind.
Someone didn't get the memo about dumping items that wage war over the ocean. And that's what got me interested in coming to look here. There were 66 Fat Mans on Tinian at the end of the war. Are they out there? They're out there. Are we looking for a needle in a haystack? Probably.
The Fletchers can see the size of the task ahead of them, a land and sea search for scattered A-bomb parts.
The hunt for the atomic bomb is not like anything we've ever done before. It's an obscure target. We know that there could very well be pieces, especially at Fat Man, out here in these waters.
Tinian is nearly 2,500 kilometers from Japan. Underwater volcanoes and deep chasms in the seabed surround the island. Today, sport divers consider the region one of the best dive sites on the planet. But in 1945, it was the site of the busiest airport in the world. Tinian was the launch pad in the fight against Japan. The island was home to Project Alberta, a top-secret operation that built the first atomic weapons used in combat. The American commanders wanted Project Alberta to run like a factory. Each month, 3 atomic bombs could be assembled and dropped until Japan surrendered. On August 6, 1945, Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, Fat Man destroyed much of Nagasaki. Another atomic bomb was nearly ready to go, with more waiting in the wings, but Japan chose surrender over annihilation. Today, not a single first-generation bomb survives. The team want to find the Fat Man casings and bomb components that were left behind. A direct connection to the original atomic weapons and the scientists of Project Alberta. A discovery that would make history.
How many times have you been on the island?
First time.
Really?
Never.
We're here with Glenn to try and understand the importance of this island as a staging point of the dropping of the bomb that changed the world. There's a connection between this island and that event that's lost here in the jungle and here offshore. So if we stumble onto something, you're going to know what we got our hands on?
I hope so. Project Alberta brought 270 tons of equipment. So,
For Glenn, the quest to find a piece of the original A-bomb is a scientific holy grail. He's convinced the material can still be found. The search begins on Tinian's abandoned aircraft runways. This is where Fat Man and Little Boy began their fateful journeys to Japan, and the bomb loading pits are still here.
this did make world wars obsolete. It made wars not worth fighting anymore. And the horror that led up to this, that we actually had to do something like this to stop, to end a world war. It's kind of awe-inspiring.
The atomic bombs comprised hundreds of parts that were brought to the island for assembly. But when the war ended, those bomb components just disappeared. The official U.S. military records state that the U.S. Army Air Forces dumped all top-secret A-bomb material up to 16 kilometers offshore in water up to 2 kilometers deep. Tinian lies near the deepest point in the world's oceans, the Mariana Trench, a yawning fissure 11 kilometers deep. The seabed starts to drop dramatically less than 5 kilometers offshore. Anything dumped here would likely never be found. But Glenn believes the official records are wrong. His research suggests that American military personnel simply moved the components for the bombs from somewhere near the airfield to the coast and dumped them into the shallow waters off this part of the island. The team looked for a coastal point near the runways.
This has got to be a gutter for runway A.
Yes, drainage or maybe sewer.
Drainage, because in a typhoon, it's a lot of water they got to get off that runway.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if they bulldozed all the way to the ocean for this trench, this might be a dump area.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look.
An access road appears to lead directly from runway A to the ocean.
Why don't you take a waypoint where maybe we can consider coming back to dive and see what's off the end of this roadway.
The ultimate thing here would be to find one of the Fat Man weapons cases. Fat Man is, that's the granddaddy of all the bombs.
The Fletchers intend to dive just offshore, close to the island's runways. They're looking for anything connected with the atomic bomb, components or casings, technological remnants of man's most terrible weapons. Their search is the first of its kind.
Glenn really knows and understands not just the history of these events, but he understands the math and the physics that makes them work.
Glenn dives too. Mike and Warren need his expertise to identify any bomb parts they discover. The dive takes them down 50 meters. Mike and Warren are using communication-enabled masks so they can alert each other to any finds. The first things they see are large, jagged rock formations and a sea bottom teeming with marine life.
What the heck is that thing? Some kind of crazy starfish, obviously. I would not want to step on that.
Mike is puzzled by some of the large shapes he sees.
Just keep looking, you'll start to see the odd one here or there.
They look like man-made objects, encrusted in coral.
Yeah, up there on that ridge on the right, I think I should see one. Definitely some kind of wreckage over here.
They need Glenn's expert eye. But the team must be careful. Tinian was a strategic base in World War II and heavily fought over. Live bombs and shells still littered the ocean floor. Glenn has studied the dimensions of each of the hundreds of components that make up an A-bomb. As time ticks away, he examines the object, hoping for a match.
Okay, well, we gotta head back to the boat. I'm getting pretty low on air.
What would you think?
I think those are Sherman tank rounds. I think they're 70 millimeters. They all measured at the base right at 3 inches.
Well, obviously not nuclear bomb pieces.
No, I think this was an amphibious assault beach.
So maybe that mark in the ground that we saw was just where the landing crafts were coming ashore.
Tinian came under heavy shelling when American forces took the island from the Japanese in July 1944. The site was chosen for Project Alberta, and the following year, atomic bombs left Tinian, targeted on Japan. But it looks likely that the runway road the team found was used to carry materials onto the island, not off it. They still need to find the dump site, but the amount of live shells and munitions they've already seen underwater has given them pause for thought.
Unexploded ordnance is still down there. You might just find one ordnance that still has a fuse, still has a timer, still has a detonator. And usually my luck goes, I'd find it.
Before investigating further, they seek expert advice from the local bomb disposal unit on the dangers they face diving here.
What we're doing is taking all of the ordnance that's been collected from a large ordnance storage depot that burned back in 1945, and we've been cleaning it up over the last couple of months. So let's go take a look at the hole.
Weapons left behind from the Second World War litter Tinian and nearby islands. Live shells and grenades scatter the landscape, and munitions experts dealing with them are fighting fire with fire.
Basically, you look over here, you can see we got some ordnance, and basically we just put the C4 on top of the ordnance, and then we initiate the C4. When the C4 detonates, then the ordnance disappears.
The concept here is that all of the World War II ordnance still contains very viable explosive content. So by adding the modern era explosives with it, we're counting on a contribution from the old stuff, and the idea is to get it all go at the same time. And when we're done, there shouldn't be anything left in the hole.
I'd get really nervous if I noticed you look nervous.
How much corrosion there is on these things is always a factor of whether they're exposed to water, whether they're exposed to the air, etc. Well, one of the ones that we found was still in its shipping tube, and the cardboard tar had protected it perfectly. So it is in perfect museum condition. I can show it to you if you want to see it. Here it is.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is exactly the same as everything else that's in that hole, but you see how corroded everything else is. This one, the storage tube that it was in, protected it perfectly.
And are these the types of things that we might find out in the ocean? Do you recover this stuff from the ocean a lot?
5-inch projectile? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything that was fired in that type of scenario, or Japanese rounds fired at the Marines when they were coming in. So you're going to find that out there in the reef. Where we just came from, right at the very top of that cliff up there, that's about 1.5 miles away. When we blow this, we're going to do it from up there. So here is where you're going to see it all put together. Up there is where you're going to see it go boom.
There is enough TNT to level a 10-story building.
Fire in the hole!
The cliff top is a safe vantage point, but an underwater encounter with a live shell could be fatal for the team. The planes carrying the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki departed from the Tinian airfield. The team know the bombs were assembled and stored somewhere nearby. They need to locate the top-secret site of Project Alberta. Then they can work out where surplus A-bomb parts may have been dumped when Japan surrendered. It's a challenge. At the end of the war, the U.S. military ceded this entire area, obscuring the secret base. After more than 60 years, thick foliage covers the site and the tropical heat makes searching uncomfortable. They use Glenn's photos of the base from 1945. They look back in time to locate the key buildings known as Quonset huts.
We obviously got to go back that way.
Go back. Hey, Right here.
Oh yeah.
A Quonset hut bolt.
So how can you tell that's a Quonset hut bolt?
The corrugated covering would bolt to a rib, which is about a 2-inch channel. And there's the rubber gasket for water sealing.
Oh yeah.
They just bolt it down.
In a clearing, the team find the crumbling foundations of a prefabricated building. They're on the right track.
It's the edge of concrete.
This is the first Quonset hut. We put one of these closest to the road.
Yeah, some of the bigger ones, but we're looking for the smaller ones in the back corner, right?
Yep, that's the technical area.
So we're on the edge of Project Alberta.
Yeah.
And only people who were working on the atomic bomb were allowed into the that area?
This was a closed area. Secrecy was of utmost importance.
More than 50 scientists worked on Project Alberta. Known as the Destination Team, their entire operation was protected by armed guard. Despite the smiles, these men were under pressure. They were assembling the first atomic bombs to be used in combat. Bombs intended to kill tens of thousands of people, but that would end the war.
We should hit probably some remnants of the next fence and then the next Quonset hut.
Yeah, should be no problem from here.
The photographs give the team a perspective on the past.
Look at this. Look at this crack. This chip out of the concrete. It's right there. And just in front of it, there's the seam.
There's the seam. So this is Quonset hut 4.
In fact, if we hold up this picture, that's what we're looking at right there. You know all these guys, what did they actually do?
They built and developed the blast measurements for the combat mission.
So they could measure the intensity of the blast?
Yeah, so they could measure the yield for Little Boy. And this is the blast gauge that they used on the Hiroshima mission.
And what happened to all the different components and tools and buildings and everything that used to stand here?
All this was dumped.
The question is where? The team needs someone to interpret their findings and help guide their search. They turn to Project Alberta's unofficial photographer. Los Alamos, New Mexico, birthplace of the atomic bomb. Only a handful of Project Alberta scientists survive. Leon Smith is one of them. In 1945, he was a 25-year-old atomic scientist working on a top-secret project on Tinian.
Can you tell us about your job on Tinian?
There were 5 of us to work on the development and the combat assembly and delivery of the Little Boy and the Fat Man. We were expected to be able to test any of the components, repair them, do special things like set the altitude on the radars. Then 3 of us were to be able to fly with the bombs and to check them out using equipment which I had designed up to the moment of release.
Leon did not get to accompany his bomb on its lethal journey. He lost out to a fellow scientist in a coin toss for the Hiroshima mission. In his downtime, he was the project's unofficial photographer, an insider with access to all areas. After the war, he was stationed on Tinian for a further 2 months, and he has information on where the bomb parts may have been dumped.
I have heard that for explosives and other things, they were expected to go several miles west and drop it. But people in a hurry will often take shortcuts. And at that time, we were accustomed to taking a lot of shortcuts.
So we're talking about big volumes of material here.
Yeah, it's very large. There was one point of land on the west side of Tinian where, after the war, I observed truckloads of equipment just being pushed over the cliff into the ocean.
Leon described the tipping point. Now Glenn and Warren must try to match their photos to a location.
The map from 1945 called this Falbus Point.
The cliffs at Phoebus San Hilo Point soar 20 meters above the waves. They create a bulging overhang that locals have nicknamed Dump Cove. At the end of the war, general military debris was dumped here. But Leon Smith believes this was also the trash can for atomic bomb parts.
Oh man, this would be the perfect spot to dump stuff off.
Yeah.
Nice flat approach. Let's got to be 50 feet at least. Sure looks like the spot here in your photo.
And it looks like it hasn't changed much.
Man, that would have been a busy spot the last few weeks, just truck after truck
Truck
coming.
after truck. This is definitely the dive target.
Oh yeah, we have to dive here, there's no question. We could find a casing that looks just like the original Fat Man bomb.
Probably in the pieces, in one of the three pieces, but
Okay.
tails, front hemis, back hemis, nose pieces, but yeah.
Right.
Or any combination.
Wouldn't that be something to find that?
That would be a real find.
The team planned to look for bomb casings, as well as the bomb's smaller internal components that help trigger the atomic blast. But metal can be hard to recognize after 64 years in the ocean, corroded by salt water and disguised by coral. It's going to be a challenge to spot the parts they want to find.
Look for any big round things, big plate, any big square boxes, that's always good. They're out there, somewhere, just waiting for somebody to find them.
The team define an initial search area that's roughly 10 square kilometers.
My guess is that if Fat Man's there, we're going to find him offshore. So now we have to find a way to get into deeper water and cover as much ground under the sea as we can. We've got to cover a lot of real estate to try and see if we can find evidence of Fat Man. And we think he's out there somewhere.
Mike and boat captain Brady Barano devise a plan to speed up their survey.
To cover more area today, guys, I want to talk to Brady and see about getting him to actually pull me with a rope. And I'll hang on to maybe his anchor. And that way he can use his GPS. He can map where he's towing me. I can stay in 10, 15 meters of water, cover a huge area, and you guys can continue to scout. But what I want to do is basically a reconnaissance, and I'll come back and report to you what I found.
The waters here are clear to around 60 meters, but the ocean rewards them as soon as they dive in. A massive World War II dumping ground stretches as far as they can see, just 15 meters below the surface. Tank parts, engines from planes, and shattered jeeps litter the aquatic landscape. And as they get closer, they spot smaller wartime objects patterning the coral seabed. Glenn finds a metal box that he thinks could be electronic, potentially an internal piece of the bomb. But coral cements it to the ocean floor. He can't pry it free.
Glenn's box looks like it could be electrical equipment, but we just can't budge it. It's now literally part of the ocean environment.
Glenn knows what each of the bomb components look like, and ultimately rules this out as a piece of the bomb. As the search continues, they find large amounts of live shells and conventional unexploded bombs. Having seen the damage they can cause, the team keep their hands off anything that could still be live ordnance. And Glenn discovers something potentially more dangerous: phosphorus left over from incendiary bombs. It looks like harmless coral and is safe to handle underwater, but this dangerous chemical bursts into flames on contact with air. Mike surveys the seabed from a safer distance as he completes his tow scan.
Everything's good, Brady.
The seabed is literally lined with all sorts of evidence of the Second World War. Old jeeps and broken airplane parts and office supplies that were here on the island and just bulldozed into the sea.
As soon as you hit the water and look down, you're flabbergasted. There is stuff everywhere.
This is the first official search for A-bomb parts in these waters. Glenn has been tracking this story for decades, and he's like a child in a candy shop. He can't drag himself away.
I have double tanks on. He's just in there with a single 80 cubic foot tank, and I was amazed at how long he stayed underwater. The guy breathes like a turtle. It's unbelievable. And I think he was just so into it. He was really, controlling his breathing and just you know, he wanted to stay in there as long as he could, and I kept looking at his gauge, and it was getting lower and lower, and I'd ask him if he wanted to go up, and he'd be like, no, I want to stay down. How much air do you have left? I thought I was going to have to drag you off the bottom there. I could tell you didn't want to go.
I figured I was just going to almost suck this one dry.
I can't believe all the stuff down there. It's everywhere. Airplane engines and tanks and old Jeep chassis. But it's just everywhere you look, like forever. It seemed like
and
just
every
stuff.
little divot, wash the sand out of it. There's something in every little hole.
So what about the bomb casings? I mean, we didn't see it today, but...
I didn't see anything, but how far is this stuff?
Every time I'd go to a new spot, I'd see something else. I'd go out there, and still you'd see more stuff in the background.
And more stuff?
Yeah.
But Mike has something to report that could top their ocean floor experience.
I think I found a bomb.
Bomb?
I thought it might even be a little boy, because it's kind of the right shape with the tail and the back assembly broken off. I'd like to take you guys and have a look.
The atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, was dropped on Japan August 6, 1945. The force of its explosion equaling more than 12,000 tons of TNT. 3 days later, Fat Man blasted Nagasaki with the equivalent of 18,000 tons. The scientists' focus was on the bigger bomb, so they believed most of the components dumped here would be parts of Fat Man. A Little Boy casing would be a remarkable discovery. Daylight is fading as Mike leads the team to his target.
Have you guys located it yet? Okay, we're over half of it now.
The original Little Boy bomb weighed 4,400 kilograms and was 3 meters long. Mike's target is missing the tail fin, but the length is very close. Glenn checks the diameter. The original was 71 centimeters across.
Warren, let's see if we can get Glenn's attention. Oh no, he's looking at me like this isn't it. No, he doesn't think it's Little Boy. I really thought we had something. I really did.
It's a disappointing end to a long, hard day of diving. The object is not part of Little Boy. It could be a standard high-explosive bomb, the type American B-29 bombers dropped on Tokyo, Yokohama, and Osaka. The next day, the hunt starts over at Dump Cove. Again, the team's support boat tows Mike across the search area. And once more, a large shape on the seabed catches his eye. Scouring the bomb-littered ocean floor around Tinian, the Fletchers have made a new discovery.
Well, I think I found components of an entire plane.
The island was base for a fleet of B-29 bombers, and 15 of them were very special, modified to carry atomic bombs. These planes were called silver plates. Each one was adapted to transport and power the A-bomb. And they were fitted with special radar to ensure the bomb's accuracy. These planes have unusual propellers. All four had variable pitch. This meant they could propel the plane backwards, reversing it over deep pits where the A-bombs were ready to load.
Glenn, do you have that picture of the B-29?
Yeah, let me grab it right here. Yeah, here's the close-up of them starting a silver plate. You have these two-man crews, which would just rotate around and essentially kickstart the engine.
And if we find a hub with the blades on it and it's variable pitch and it's the right size, then it's a silver plate, which is a specific B-29 that was used to carry the bomb, right?
Yeah.
And I remember March of 1945, on the takeoff for one mission, 5 planes going from west to east in its prevailing wind went into the ocean a little ways off the island.
5 planes in one mission?
Yes.
That was on takeoff?
Yes. The planes were very heavily loaded.
They'd have lots of traditional style bombs and fuel on board for the bombardment of Japan.
Correct. The planes were very heavily loaded, and if they went in the water, they just went down.
The Silver Plate B-29 bombers did a number of dummy runs before their first nuclear attack on Japan. Mike wonders if the plane he's spotted could be a Silver Plate that might have an A-bomb casing on board. There are no official records that a Silver Plate crashed here, but Glenn is still keen to investigate the target.
It sure looks like an airplane. There's a lot of stuff here.
They can see the aircraft's landing gear and sections of its frame. But the evidence is scattered. The wings, engines, and pieces of fuselage are spread out over a 60-meter radius. And there's no sign of the propellers.
And I'm going to take off over here. I want to show you the wing.
The ocean floor has absorbed the plane's wings, creating a skeletal refuge for underwater life. Then Glenn finds something promising. A propeller masked by decades of coral growth and corrosion. He probes for clues and can see that the blades are bent. It means the prop was probably turning when the bomber crashed. It's a B-29. But is it a Silver Plate?
Glenn's saying no. He says he doesn't think it is a Silver Plate.
The telltale sign of a B-29 adapted for atomic warfare is the propeller hubs, which allow for changing the pitch. And Glenn can see that this one does not have variable pitch. Another long day of diving ends without a breakthrough, but the sheer volume of potential targets provides hope that tomorrow's dive will be successful.
Fat Man has proved to be quite elusive. I've dove on a lot of targets that I thought might lead to Fat Man. I've been disappointed more than once now, but I'm going to stay with the plan and see if we can't make history by finding what would be one of the last bits and pieces of this important bomb, the Fat Man.
At first light, the team return to continue their search of Dump Cove. They have no choice but to push their investigation to the outer edge of the target area, beyond which the seabed quickly drops to more than 400 meters. Too deep to dive. These waters border the deepest in the world. Anything dumped there may never be found. Glenn heads off alone to investigate the uneven seabed. A large cylinder sitting alone away from the rest of the war debris attracts his attention. Its size and shape suggest it could be the casing for a Fat Man bomb.
I was swimming off, I was looking around, I'm like, what's that big pimple-looking thing on the bottom? You know, and if you look around, there's not another one like it anywhere.
No.
So I swam up over it, and half of the circumference is perfectly round.
Right.
Which is really odd, but it's really encrusted, so I swam down and looked at it, but it's hollow.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is hollow.
Well, it was almost the right size to be a Fat Man.
Yeah.
Like once you add the crustaceans.
Yeah, I measured it, and it's a little over 5 feet. The Fat Man was 5 foot diameter. It's the right shape, it's the right size, it's the right location. This looks very suspicious. Hey, maybe we have something here.
The team are hunting a target that could be a Fat Man bomb casing. If proven correct, the discovery will make history.
So what do you want to do here, guys?
We'll go to the Fat Man target, and we'll chisel a little of the sea scum off that bottom lip that's exposed.
Okay. And we're going to expose enough just to be sure what it's made of.
Right, where the big lip where you can reach inside,
Right.
there's a really good exposed lip.
Okay. So will you actually be tapping off the marine growth on the inside or outside?
All outside.
If it is a fat man, there's got to be seams on that cylindrical part, right?
Yeah, there'll be a seam about 3 foot up from the bottom.
The Fat Man bombs were notorious for tumbling through the air, though, so who knows? It could have hit the water or even the land on a funny angle, broken in half.
We're not going to figure out what it is standing here on the deck. We need to get in there and figure it out.
On his first encounter, Glenn saw the object was hollow, so there's no danger of explosion. Having gained permission from the local government, he chips away at the coral looking for clues to its genesis. But even a hatchet and hammer can't get through the tough coral growth.
It almost looks like it has to be some kind of a steel shell. Looks like he's not sure what we've got here.
The mystery is proving tough to crack. Their breathing mix is running low, so they're forced to surface.
You know, well, it's just a lot off that bottom lip, but it was still all, you know, growth. Plus, when I hit on it, you hear it when you hit it with the hammer?
It was tinging.
So do you think there is steel under there somewhere?
Could be. That growth is thick.
So how do you rate it?
I don't know. We get the metal detector. It's in the right place. It's the right time.
Right size and shape.
Right size and shape.
But is there steel under the object's coral coat?
I'm gonna go get the metal detector, okay?
Glenn and Mike take turns to use the metal detector. They calibrate it by monitoring their metal air tanks. But they struggle to get a reading from the object. Eventually, they give up. Looks like it's coral after all.
Nothing. No beep, no hum. There's no metal inside the clump that, for a while, had us going.
It was pretty tough to take, you know. It was this big up and down kind of, it might be the bomb, I don't think it's the bomb. It really looks like the bomb, and now we know for sure it wasn't.
I want to find this bomb, and I believe from looking at the evidence that there is a fat man out there. I'd love to be one of the 3 or 4 people working together that could say we found it. And I know that we just have to keep looking. If it were easy, it would have already been found. We know it hasn't. Do we believe it's there? Yes. And today wasn't our day.
After another day of disappointment, the team review their entire search plan.
Are those fuel tanks?
You know, here at Dump Cove, there's kind of two problems. One, there's so much to look at, and we're limited in bottom time. There's a lot in the deep water, and the fact that it's cemented under how many feet of sea growth.
Yeah, there could be big bomb casings completely covered over and buried under that coral, and
you can see there's 4 or 5 feet of parts in the bottom, all encrusted.
The challenges of the undersea search have proved greater than anticipated. Mike proposes a radical change in their approach.
I'm getting the impression we should go out of the water and back on shore.
Back on land.
I think that's our best option. We found a few things there the other day.
They haven't found any parts where the bombs were dumped, so they shift the search to where the bombs were assembled.
And probably the best would be the work area, Quonset hut area, because all the piece components were built in the work area. They were all taken to the assembly building and all put into a bomb. So essentially, parts go in, a bomb comes out.
Right.
That's where all the bits and pieces are.
The bombs known as Fat Man and Little Boy comprised hundreds of components, each one essential for the atomic chain reaction. And the team know the exact location where those parts were put together, the prefabricated huts that made up Project Alberta. They take to the air to examine the compound. A bird's eye view that helps pinpoint Quonset huts 2 and 3. These were the arming and firing stations where Leon Smith helped assemble his bomb. At ground level, it's more of a challenge. The outlines of buildings are harder to spot. The undergrowth is thick, and many of the bomb parts were small. But the team persevere in the hope of discovery.
Did you say these round holes were the toilets, the latrines?
Yep, that's the...
So I'm looking in the toilet, and look what I found.
Wow. Oh. Well, also, if the light bulb burned out in the can, they'd probably just drop it down in there.
You think they just threw it away?
Yeah, well, you gotta go after and get it?
No, but do you think you'd want to throw it in the toilet?
Why not? No, these are outhouses. This is...
Everything was au naturel.
That's a 64-year-old light bulb.
Yep, we'll leave it for another generation to find.
As they press further into the compound, the heat grows more intense.
Yeah.
Hey, mine! Yeah, come on over.
The shift from a sea to land search looks like it's about to pay off. Nuclear scientist Glenn McDuff has found a piece of equipment that helped ensure Fat Man and Little Boy detonated at the right altitude above the ground.
Looks like it's a cavity tuning meter. This will be hooked to the radar unit.
The bomb's 4 radar units were used to measure the distance to the ground as the bomb fell. When the radar determined that the bomb had reached ground zero, the height above the ground designated for explosion, it would trigger the detonation process.
So this is for setting the frequency that we're actually on the bombs?
The bombs, they tuned each radar separately so that nobody knew what the frequencies were. In case the enemy wanted to jam, they didn't know what frequencies to jam.
Oh, it's possible that this particular unit was used to set the frequency on Fat Man.
And Little Boy, both. It's in the right location. This is what they did in this Quonset hut.
Well, it says a lot about the disposal of everything here on this, at Project Alberta.
Yeah, and after being around here, you can kind of tell. Wouldn't you be ready to get out of here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm ready to call it the end of a day, let alone the end of a war.
Oh, here's something, Glenn. It's like an electrical insulator.
Oh, really?
Oh, and some connectors or something right here, too.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. No, these are electrical connectors here.
Yeah. Dad, check this out. What do you think they are?
These are...
Electrical insulators?
No, they're connectors.
No, these are little amphenol connectors. Yeah, but again, we're in one of the arming, firing, and fusing huts. So these are probably...
Oh, yeah.
That's a multi-pin connector. This is probably... These are probably out of the clock box. On top of the bombs where you had all the pull-out wires. So when it dropped, it pulled these wires and it started all the functions.
So these would actually be parts of the bomb?
Yeah.
This is a big discovery for the team, a vital component and critical link in the bomb's deadly chain reaction. It was a part that gave life to death.
This is really significant. These were components that would have been used in future weapons. These components may very likely, the one we picked up could have been dropped on Japan on August 24th, which was the next scheduled bomb drop. These are the spares. Notice these have never been used.
Okay, the wires would get soldered in here.
Would get soldered in there.
I see.
But these are spares. because they were planning on building a lot of bombs. This is where they were built, in this hut right here. This is the arteries of the bomb.
Right. And we'd have never found these underwater, even if they were dumped in the cove.
They would be rusted away or buried and concreted over with coral.
These are the pieces that ended the darkest time in human history. This is what did it. These simple little parts.
The team take news of their find to Leon Smith, one of the few surviving scientists who assembled the atomic bombs on Tinian.
Hey, Leon.
Oh, Glenn.
Hey.
So nice to see you.
Hey, how you doing? Up in the main work area where the Quonset huts were, there's still an awful lot of debris left around. We found components left over, and especially these connectors.
These are clearly the type of connectors that were used in the electrical systems for both the little boy and the fat man, both on the firing set and the fusing system. Every one of these, every wire, every connection was important. It takes me back to a very exciting point in time in my life. We were doing almost impossible things in times that you would now regard as impossible. We made things happen.
You can take a handful of metal and destroy a city with it. Maybe we shouldn't forget what these people did, because if we do forget, it's very likely we'll repeat history. And this is not one part of history anyone wants to repeat.
And after all these years, do you think about the bomb and the effect it had and the impact of the bomb?
The battle for Japan was scheduled for November 1 of 1945, just a few months into the future. I think the Japanese would have gone underground into guerrilla warfare. Casualties on both sides would have been simply unreal. How many deaths would you be willing to accept? How did I feel when the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima? I felt a sense of relief.
The mighty Mekong, a dangerous river that hides golden treasure. Religious artifacts worth millions of dollars were lost when a boat sank here in 1910. For a century, no one has beaten the ripping current and lethal rocks to recover the treasure.
This river's just right full of things that could kill you.
But father and son divers and explorers, Mike and Warren Fletcher, will push the limits of this river.
Whoa! Take a look at the surface. Do you see Warren up there?
And search the world for clues.
Wow. Didn't expect to see photographs of the ship.
To chase down the mystery of the River Buddha. The Mekong River surges through Southeast Asia for over 4,000 kilometers. Here in Laos, it provides food and water for millions of people and is the country's main artery for travel and trade. It is also home to a century-old mystery.
There's a lot of river here to hide a shipwreck in. And a lot of dangerous water to be diving in.
The dive detective's target is La Grandière, a treasure-laden French gunboat that sank here on July 15, 1910. La Grandière patrolled the Mekong, helping to maintain French rule in Laos. She was 23 meters of steam-powered metal, bristling with 3 rapid-fire cannons. When she sank, she was carrying a precious cargo of Laotian treasures, including gold and bronze statues of Buddha. artifacts whose removal is said to have triggered a curse on the doomed La Grandière and her crew. The Fletchers aim to locate the treasure and return it to the Lao people. But only a handful of divers have ever braved this river. So Mike Fletcher must determine if diving the Mekong is even possible.
Every once in a while I see this big upswelling of water and whirlpools and spots where it's boiling up from underneath. There's times when you can't tell which way the river's actually flowing, because even though the water's flowing this way, there are back eddies that send the current going back upriver. It's a very confused current.
The river's current is unpredictable. It can surge to more than 20 kilometers an hour. Flash floods, treacherous rapids, and blade-sharp rocks claim hundreds of lives a year.
Look at all the different directions the water's moving through there. Imagine trying to dive in that. That's the kind of thing that scares me.
Mike looks for a location where he can test the waters. As his son Warren follows a trail of clues he hopes will lead them to the River Buddha. In London, England, Martin Bailey, a journalist, has discovered secret British government files about La Grandière's sinking.
This particular Foreign Office file was entitled Sunken Royal Treasures, and of course that just grabbed my attention.
And they're some kind of secret files? You said they were released?
They were released or declassified after 30 years.
The confidential file details correspondence between the British Foreign Office and Tony Beamish, a Briton working in Laos. It reveals that the British were searching for the same treasure. In 1964, they developed a detailed plan to salvage the treasure and return it to the King of Laos. And they pinpointed a specific area where they believed La Grandière had gone down.
The location was identified by Beamish, and this was the rapids of Tong Sum, and that was a few kilometers north of Tadua.
Okay, well that should help us out a lot.
Yes, I hope so.
The Mekong courses through Laos for more than 1,800 kilometers, forming a natural boundary with neighboring Myanmar and Thailand. The British identified this 500-meter stretch of water as the area to search. Mike follows the lead 60 kilometers downriver to the isolated town of Tadua. A ghostly haze hangs over this stretch of the river as farmers slash and burn the forest to cultivate crops. As the sky changes, so does the Mekong. Currents grow stronger, and massive boulders now define the river cliffs. The raging river churns up sand, reducing visibility to almost zero. These conditions are extremely dangerous, even for a world-class professional diver like Mike.
The sand is literally full of water, and it really is quicksand. Imagine what it's like out there where the sand is in constant motion. But you would not want to struggle too long in this, you'd be gone.
Two things will determine if the Fletchers can investigate this place: underwater visibility and the current's speed and strength. And the only way to test them is to get in the water. Mike ties a guide rope to a rock to prevent the Mekong from sweeping him away. Air cells in a wetsuit add buoyancy in the water. If the current snatches Mike off the line, he should return to the surface, rather than being trapped underwater. But taking the plunge here is dangerous. Laos does not have a diving industry, and few people have ever explored the river's treacherous depths. The name Mekong comes from the Thai, meaning mother of waters, a force with the power to give life and to take it away. Many believe the river is home to the Naga, gigantic serpent-like creatures that hide in its depths, and to which the Lao people make sacrifices.
You just can't see anything down here. It's terrible. It's near zero visibility with all the sand churning in the water. All I can see with my light is an orange glow.
The poor visibility means they will not be able to search for the treasure by sight. And the river's currents still need to be tested. It's the dry season, and the river is at its lowest, but it's still moving fast, roughly 11 kilometers an hour, and it can quickly spike to more than double that speed. In flood, the Mekong is deadly. In 2000, more than 800 people, mostly children, lost their lives. Mike drifts downstream, racing past rocky outcrops, over submerged fish nets, and through whirlpools that could capture and trap him.
I'm good, yeah. Well, I'm really glad I did it, because now I have a much better sense of the river. I got actually caught in a whirlpool there for a bit, and it did spin me around, and I did feel at times that the river could try and pull you down. Wonderfully exciting to think that I may have just now drifted over top of our shipwreck, the Grandier.
But the Fletchers will need a plan to battle the current before they can search for the treasure. A continent away, Warren is on the trail of La Grandiere's commander in the general's hometown of Grenoble, France. It's nearly a century since General de Bellier died on the Mekong. He was a commander in the French colonial force in Indochina and obsessed with collecting local art. At the family estate, Henri de Pazy, a descendant, has a surprise for Warren.
Bon, voilà une photo du La Grandière.
Wow. Didn't expect to see photographs of the ship.
Warren gets his first proper look at the target. The photograph shows La Grandiere actually traveling the Mekong. The steamship was powered by a large metal boiler. It's an important detail for the team and will help them choose the right technology to assist their search.
I wonder when this photo was taken, it certainly looks like the river's in high flood there. You can actually see trees underwater, just the top sticking up out of the water.
La Grandiere made her fateful last journey in July 1910. The Mekong was flooded, swollen to as much as 18 meters above dry season levels. The high waters hid danger, massive jagged rocks beneath a surface pounded by strong currents.
And I'm curious, was the general in Laos on official military business, or was he just on his own personal quest?
N'est pas une mission militaire. Le roi du Laos était en discussion avec le Louvre à Paris pour préparer une exposition sur le trésor du roi du Laos. Et comme le général était à l'époque un des personnages français le plus important dans le sud de l'Indochine, il a pu négocier avec le roi du Laos que celui-ci lui prête une partie des belles pièces de son trésor.
The Louvre has no records to confirm the general was bringing treasures back for exhibition. But the secret British file states the treasures left Laos aboard La Grandiere, and reports the Laotian royal family was deeply grieved by the removal of their national treasures. But the king felt powerless to protest to the colonial authority. De Bellier's rank and stature in occupied Laos may have influenced the royal family to relinquish their treasures, including statues of Buddha, precious artifacts with deep religious significance. Laos has been a Buddhist country since the 14th century. The removal of sacred artifacts would have caused great insult. Most of the lost treasures came from here, Luang Prabang, the Laotian center of Buddhism. At a local monastery, the monks conduct a special ceremony to protect the Fletchers from the perils of the Mekong.
Some of the Lao people believe that anyone removing religious artifacts will fall victim to a curse. Before he left, General de Bellier was warned about the conditions in the river. Maybe La Grandière sank because of their bad karma. That's a risk we don't want to take.
The hunt for La Grandière has unusual challenges, so the team are equipped for the unexpected. Their riverboat is loaded with 20 cases and half a ton of gear. It's their home and work base on the Mekong. The team's boat is strikingly similar to La Grandière. Both have long, thin hulls designed for the river's serpentine narrows, but the courses of rock and boulders still hold danger. The similarities may offer clues to help the Fletchers understand what happened to the general and the treasure.
I wonder if anybody's even considered the fact that maybe he had a mechanical problem, like the steering broke.
Could happen, right? Or you tap a rock and bend your rudder or something, and I mean, you're at the mercy of the current.
The vessel's mechanics are primitive and haven't changed in a century. The steering is a length of chain wrapped around a drum. The ends link back to the stern, where they're attached to opposite sides of the rudder to turn the ship.
It is a nice, simple system, but you know, it could fail any time. One bolt comes loose, and there you go.
Now, I'm assuming Grandier had logging chain like this for its steering, but the early steamboats actually had rope.
Rope?
Yeah. So you hear stories about the rope chafing on pulleys, or worse yet, you get a fire. Now you got a ship on fire and no way to steer, right?
Well, it's one thing to lose steering out in open water, but in here in this river, you got tight turns and currents and all sorts of things you got to avoid.
No, it's part of what makes me nervous. Steering would be absolutely critical, especially in flood when you got these giant whirlpools that'll throw you from one bank to the other.
The river's glassy surface hides numerous wrecks and masks very real dangers. The Fletchers must adapt diving techniques and call on a combined 40 years of experience to take on the might of the Mekong. The team use what Mike Fletcher learned on his scout. They develop a plan for diving in the racing currents where La Grandière and her treasures were lost. They will drop heavy weights instead of rocks on either side of any target.
Nice anchor. The local boatmen don't have traditional anchors, at least not the kind that we think of as North American or European anchors. So we actually had to go to a scrapyard and buy this old engine block to be the clump weight that Warren and I are going to dive on.
The Fletchers will attach guidelines to the clump weights. They will then travel hand over hand down the rope to the site they need to investigate. The ropes will be a lifeline in the river's treacherous currents.
Warren and I are just looking at the river. This is where we put our clump weight, so this is where ultimately we're going to end up if we can pull ourselves up to the weight. And the risk of getting pulled off the rope and sent down river where you can't see what's coming is what is really dangerous. Let's imagine that there's a tree sunk in the river and we're drifting like this and we can't see it. Suddenly you're stuck. You turn sideways, your mast is ripped off, you're tangled in fishnet. That's why we absolutely can't come off the line that we're holding in our hands.
Now they need to test their system. They enter the river near the cliff face, but quickly realize the currents are even worse below the surface.
I'm out here at the end of the line. The current's pretty strong out here. Yeah, it's really strong, but I'm managing to hold on. Over.
Diving here puts them in constant danger of being smashed into the surrounding boulders.
I just can't get over how much sand there is down here. Yeah, it's really bad. I'm not sure how we're gonna ever see anything down here.
Visibility is zero, but the test is a success. The weights and their guidelines held. Their system can be used for the investigation. But the swirling sand below the surface is another matter.
Feel this. Sand I got a sand mohawk. It's like an inch thick in my hair.
It's like a beanbag in there. That's ridiculous.
That's how much sand is in that water. It's swirling around down there.
The sand adds another challenge, but it should be manageable. The next step is to locate their target. The lost ship had a metal hull, and that fact leads the team to bring in British engineer Bob Hickson. Hickson has developed and worked with sophisticated metal detecting systems for more than 30 years.
This system's a unique system that I developed for myself to locate historic wrecks. It combines the GPS, an echo sounder and the magnetometer and displays all the data graphically on the computer.
Bob has used this magnetometer to find historic Spanish wrecks near Panama and 18th century shipwrecks off Britain. The team begin the search in the area Mike scouted. It's at the foot of the rapids, where some reports say La Grandière foundered. Bob plans to zero in on the steam-driven gunboat's metal hull and boiler. As the magnetometer is towed behind the boat, it displays any changes in the Earth's magnetic field caused by metal objects. La Grandière's metal hull and boiler would create a unique signature and help pinpoint the wreck's location. After a century on the bottom of the Mekong, La Grandière might be buried deep within the sand. Bob's expertise is the only way to find it.
This is saying,
yeah, it's really jumping, eh? Wow.
There's no good. It shouldn't be like that. You'll have been flat, you know.
Right.
That's no good at all.
The magnetometer is behaving oddly. The geology of the area is uncharted, and some rocks contain enough iron to disrupt Bob's readings, making locating the target nearly impossible.
Well, I think this here is solid iron. You look at it.
Bob suggests an easy test to determine if these rocks are affecting his magnetometer. He has Warren move the sensor away from the rocks. There's a huge fluctuation in the signal. The rocks are indeed magnetic and are strong enough to confuse Bob's system.
But it's caused by the rocks. So you'll never find it with the magnetometer.
It's a massive setback. Without the magnetometer, they have no way of knowing where to dive. So the Fletchers turn their attention to why the gunboat might have sunk, hoping the answer will shed light on its location.
Yeah, draw it out for me.
Somsak Pongvijit is a local speedboat driver. He regularly navigates this section of the river and knows its dangers.
ถ้าคนใดหันขับเรือมานี่ยานก้อนนี้เนาะยานตัวนี้มันจะเลอมานี่นะมันบ่มานี่เนาะมันจะมาที่จะมาตามก้อนนี้ก่อนน้ำมันจะดึงมาทางนี้ตามนี้แล้วก็ตามนี้มันก็โค้งมาที่คือก่อนน้ำมันโค้งมาที่มันเป็นมุนจม ถ้าว่าผู้ใดมานี้มาแหน่ใส่หัวก้อนตัวนี้แล้วก็มันเซมาน้อยเดียวก็บ่ถึงที่ไปสบาย
So people think they need to be in the center of the river, but what happens? The water hits this big rock,
because
pushes the ship sideways.
Yeah.
I see. So really what they need to do is stay really close to this rock, so when they get pushed over, they end up in the middle.
Yeah.
Of course. So that's probably what happened to La Grandière. They probably didn't realize that they were going to get forced over. They were in the middle, got pushed up against this rock, and then caught in that whirlpool.
And that rock is the one they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And that rock is the one they hit.
Yeah.
And when is the most dangerous time to go through the river?
มันเดิน10เป็นเดือนที่ว่าอันตรายกว่าหมู่หรือว่าเดือน7เดือน8
เดือน10ก็แห้งเดือน7แต่ถ้าเดือน10ระยะ3เดือนนี่แห้งน้ำแห้ง
You know this dangerous time is start from July to October.
So the Grandière came through here at the most dangerous time of the year.
แล้วอันเรือที่มาต่ำอยู่นี่หันเรือของฝั่งมันเป็นเวลาที่น้ำแห้งบ่
น้ำแห้งลาย
Yes.
The river's powerful current could have driven La Grandière onto the rocks, then dragged the boat downriver to her final resting place.
That whirlpool, you think about it, would be swirling this way. It would have kind of sucked it across to that side of the river.
It does kind of point in that direction, doesn't it?
The Fletchers decide to focus on a 50-meter stretch of river directly below the cliff face that La Grandière might have hit. It's a smaller search area than they'd envisaged, but it's close to jagged rocks and extremely dangerous. The good news is that Bob thinks he's found a way to use the magnetometer.
Okay, Mike, put the fish in. Okay, fish going in.
Bob lowers the magnetometer's sensitivity to minimize readings from the Mekong's natural magnetic signature.
That's working fine.
We get the signal from this steel boat?
Yeah, it's picking it up. I detected that boat.
Bob's adjustments work. The magnetometer can now distinguish between a ship's metal hull and the surrounding rock.
You can go and find it now.
The team travels slowly through the water so the magnetometer can pick up any metallic signatures detected on the riverbed. After 6 hours, their patience pays off. They score a strong hit near the cliff face.
Yeah, here we go. Look, see? A sudden change in the field, look. Here. See where you get this second drop?
Whoa!
Look, see that? That is more likely the wreck there.
The display shows an object resting just 9 meters below the surface, close to the location suggested by speedboat driver Somsak.
Standing up 10 feet off the bottom, perfect return. I like that. It looks promising. Of course, it has to be the trickiest spot in the river to try and dive, doesn't it? Right in this channel where all the water is just getting hammered through this small space.
There's fish gathered around it. That's why it's fishing there.
You know the fishermen know where the wrecks are every time, right?
Yeah.
The Fletchers believe they have a promising target to investigate. The location that gave the strong magnetometer reading is also a popular spot for fishing. But conditions near the rock face have deteriorated since yesterday. The river is moving much faster and will make the dive more dangerous. Strong currents, back eddies, and massive whirlpools prevent the boats getting close to the dive site, so the Fletchers have to portage their heavy gear over razor-sharp rocks. Each large double tank and backpack weighs close to 45 kilograms. A wrong step could be fatal. But they should know better than to turn their backs on the mighty Mekong. A powerful whirlpool snatches the dive boats. Each weighs roughly 900 kilograms, but they're being dragged downriver.
Get around the rock! Get around the rock!
As they battle the current and wrangle the ships back into position, it reminds them what they're up against.
Okay, keep the boat over there out of the current.
Mike, you don't think this is too dangerous? That's hell of a current there, you know. I mean, look what it did to the boats.
Just
What's it
baby
going to do
steps.
to you?
We're gonna hold on tight.
Okay,
Just baby steps.
Okay.
Bob's really nervous, eh?
Yeah, I don't blame him.
The current underwater can be even more violent.
Dad, I'm coming down to you. Over.
Their guideline is the only thing saving the divers from being swept away. But to search for La Grandière, they must let go of the rope with one hand so they can feel for the target. With zero visibility underwater, rocks and debris pose a grave threat.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky down here. Pretty crazy. Trying to hold on. But we're working our way down.
Okay, I'll leave you to the dive. Call me if you've got any problems. Over.
I'm getting close to the end of the line, and I think there's something down here.
As Mike nears the target, there's danger from the surface.
And both of you, there's a really large steel boat going past at the moment, so just be careful. You'll hear the engines now.
Roger that.
The wake from the riverboat adds turbulence to the underwater currents, making it even harder to hold onto the guideline.
Whoa!
Mike gets dragged to the end of the rope.
Hurry! I found something down here.
Mike Fletcher battles to hold onto his line and make sense of what he has discovered. Overhead, a massive boat passes dangerously close.
Warren, I can feel it now. It's a tree. We need to get out of here before I get sucked into it.
The underwater current is so unstable that Mike and Warren must haul themselves back along the line to safety.
I swam right into a tree.
Did you?
I think that's what our target was.
Oh,
Up there about, I don't know, 20 meters.
Yeah.
There's a dip in the sand.
Yeah.
That's where Warren met me. And
Yeah.
just beyond that, there's a big tree.
Oh.
I'm sure what you're seeing wasn't the remnants of the Grandier. I think what you're seeing is that big old tree.
A promising hit has turned into a disappointment. It looks like the magnetic properties in the rock and the swirling sand have again created a false target. The Fletchers need a lead. They revisit the secret 1964 British plan to recover La Grandière. In London, Warren had met with Sir Peter Wakefield. In the 1960s, Sir Peter was a member of Britain's Foreign Office and a key player in an operation to recover the sunken treasures of Laos. The plan to find La Grandière was hatched during the Vietnam War, when the British government was working to prevent the spread of communism.
Well, it was not in the normal run of business, you might say, no.
The Foreign Office believed that finding the treasure and returning it to the King of Laos would be a valuable gesture to an ally in the fight against communism. But a new government in Britain pulled the plan's funding and shelved the scheme.
That's too bad. So in the end, the project never went forward and nobody ever dove in the river or looked for any of the artifacts or the ship itself?
Well, there is this story that there was an attempt made, or at least they looked at it in '68.
4 years after the aborted 1964 mission, there was a second British attempt to find the treasure. But it ended in tragedy when the expedition's DC-3 crashed into the Mekong. This revelation opens up another mystery. Simon Dunstan is a military historian who has investigated the incident.
After the initial impact, several of the people got out of this aircraft and were in the river. And then there was a rescue attempt by an American Huey helicopter. But it flew so low over the river that the rotor downwash forced the people underwater, and they all drowned. So all 37 people on board that airplane died.
And do we know, did the group actually dive down to the bottom of the river?
We understand they did. And obviously, if any artifacts they might have recovered, unfortunately, would have been lost in the airplane crash.
It's a new target, a plane that could have been loaded with treasure when it went down. And in Laos, Warren finds a man who saw it happen.
เจ้าก็ฮู้บ่พูดว่าเดี๋ยวนี้บนใดบนที่มันตกบนใดที่ย่นอยู่
ค่อยๆฮู้
Yes
เพราะว่า
I
ค่อย
know
เห็นมันตกเราก็
He said that yes I know because I saw the airplane crash that time
He saw the plane crash.
Yeah
Wow, you were actually there. That must have been pretty crazy. Unbelievable.
แต่ว่าค่อยกับยนต์นั้นใกล้กันบ่ฮอดพอ200เมตรเลยมันตกนี่มันตกกระตกคืออันซันมาซินน่ะจนย่างก็บ่เป็น
And I'm curious, is the airplane still in that same spot?
ได้ชื่อได้ดีเพราะว่าเห็นนี่
Only a handful of people saw the plane crash. The witness Warren found is fisherman Buntan Jontavun. Buntan was 11 years old at the time, but he's confident he can remember exactly where the plane went down. He guides the team 4 kilometers north of their original search area. The DC-3 had a wingspan of 29 meters and weighed more than 11,000 kilograms. Buntan can recall the crash in vivid detail.
So, which way did the plane come from?
มันมาทางเบื้องไหนยนต์มาทางเบื้องไหน
มันกลายไปพุ่นแล้วมัน
กลับคืน
มันกลับคืนมา
Airplane came from that way and go down and turn back again
Looking for a place to land.
Yeah
เราก็จะเอาเสือกมัดอันปีกุนทันทึ่งก็
3 days after the crash, Buntan says he saw locals attempt to salvage the plane from a rocky ledge on the opposite side of the river.
That large rock right there is the face where the airplane ended up. And it was there that they tied the cable on it and winched on it till they pulled the wing off. And we were told that when the wing came off, they actually had bodies rolling out of the aircraft. What I like about this target is, unlike La Grandière, we know exactly where to dive. We don't need to search for it. We just need to get in the water and possibly find the treasure.
Now.
They have a defined area to search, but this section of the Mekong is the most dangerous they have encountered. A high volume of water flows through the narrow channel, making the river race and the current stronger than Mike expected. The Fletchers face added danger in the search area for the plane. Frequent boat traffic roars through the channel, churning up the water.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to be in the water right now.
No? Well, our timing was perfect. We know when a boat goes by, it creates crazy whirlpools. If we had been in the water when that boat went by, that would have been a bad one.
Look at the wake off of that thing.
The Fletchers have a secret weapon for this dive, advanced technology that uses sonar. The kit generates visual images from reflected sound. It would guide them through the Mekong's almost zero visibility, but it's cumbersome and adds to the dangers of their dive.
Personally, I think it's a death trap down there without the sonar, and you got to hold on basically with 2 hands to the thing.
What you're saying is it's dangerous if you take it with you.
It's dangerous enough without it. Forget about having it with you.
Right.
It's a difficult decision. The scanner could help lead them right to the treasure. The handheld acoustic camera uses sound to see. It generates detailed images in real time by bouncing sound waves off surfaces underwater, a powerful tool in the swirling maelstrom of the Mekong. Warren faces the challenge of holding on to the guideline while using the acoustic camera. He decides it is worth the risk. Warren follows his dad into the river and towards the target. The swirling sand causes some interference in the acoustic camera. but Warren can still see Mike traveling along the guideline. It's slow progress, but the images from the acoustic camera reassure them.
I should be about 4 feet in front of you right now, over.
Yes, that's right.
They maneuver the guideline away from the cliff face, a bold move to increase their search area.
One is working out ahead of me, and we're just going to get this rope off the cliff face here, just at the end. We're almost out to the anchor.
But as the line goes slack, a violent current suddenly catches them.
Whoa!
And Warren disappears.
Take a look at the surface. Do you see one up there? No, I don't see him on the rope. Bob, can you see him there? Over?
No, Mike, he's not on the surface.
Okay, just stand by. I'm going to go up to the end.
You okay, Warren?
Mike battles the current, searching for his son amid the churning sand.
Can you confirm you're okay, Warren? Over.
The team fear Warren has been dragged off the line and swept downriver.
Oh, hey, I can feel him on the rope. It's crazy down there. It's all right. Okay, we're going to make our way back.
Mike helps Warren find his way back along the guideline.
I thought we lost you there. I got pushed way up by the current. Oh, I'm glad you're all right. Current is way too strong here.
Nightmare.
There's no trace of wreckage, and the raging current rules out further dives. The search for the plane is halted. But one team member has other plans. Engineer Bob Hickson heads back to their first search site, the rapids at Tatawa. He wants to try his magnetometer one last time. An abandoned monument close by has links to La Grandière.
This is the entrance monument.
It was erected as a landmark for river traffic, but nearly a century in the forest has taken its toll.
Sadly, this is the monument. Mr. Bombay explained to me that someone has come in the past and probably said use dynamite to blow it up, thinking that there might be some sort of treasure or something buried inside the monument.
The monument marked the place where men died and treasure was lost. The Fletchers decide to make it visible from the Mekong once again.
Nobody can enjoy this monument. There's not a whole lot left of it, but what is left is pretty amazing. And they put a lot of work into this thing, obviously.
You can see it again.
The scale of the crumbling structure has given the Fletchers confidence they're diving in the right place. And Bob adds to the optimism with news of a strong magnetic contact a bit further downriver. The target site is just 150 meters from where Somsack suggested La Grandière had hit the rocks. Locals want to boost the expedition's final chance at success, so they sacrifice a pig to Naga, a spirit of the Mekong.
I've gone through a lot of things to hunt for shipwrecks, but never anything quite like this before.
I think it's very important to the people, and they don't want us to upset the spirits, I don't think. And they know we're here to deliver an icon back to them that's going to be important for their culture. So yeah, I think they really did want us here to do this.
Perhaps the river spirits were appeased.
Nice job on the tent. Yeah. This is great.
The water around their target is moving slower than at previous dive sites, making this one the best so far.
This is a great potential, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be investigated.
Oh, it's the perfect spot. I've seen this before. Things come rushing down through a set of rapids and they drop out as soon as it calms down.
Yeah.
The Fletchers contemplate everything they have learned about the river and the story of La Grandière. They believe this could be the last resting place of the missing Laotian treasure. The team are optimistic about their next dive. Warren brings the acoustic camera to help scour the river bottom for signs of the wreck.
Okay, I'm just standing by. Warren, can you see anything that's sticking above bottom on the sonar? Over. Yeah, I can see you there on the end of the line really well.
The current is manageable here, so Mike uses a handheld metal detector to pinpoint anything buried in the shifting sand.
Are you getting anything on the metal detector, Mike? Over.
Nothing so far, Bob. Just moving around. Oh, wait a minute. There's something here. Yeah, definitely getting something here. I'm getting a signal, even on low sensitivity, Bob.
It's good that you're detecting metal because that detector won't be affected by magnetic rock. So there's definitely metal below the sand there. That could be quite a big object just below the sand. It's worth giving a dig, see if you can feel anything just under the sand. Over.
Roger that.
A strong hit on the metal detector could indicate a section of La Grandière's steel hull.
Yeah, very exciting hit here. But digging deep into the sand and not recovering anything here yet. I wish it wasn't caving in. I keep digging deeper and deeper and the sand just keeps building in on top of it. I can't seem to penetrate down into the sand very much, so
As Mike digs, the sand coils and shifts. The metal detector could be reading a target buried up to 4 meters deep.
they're really giving it a thorough try for.
I must admit, that is disappointing.
They finally mastered the underwater conditions, but there's just no way to reach the object.
If we want to go any further here, it's going to mean bringing in a dredge on a barge, which won't be easy with the current and the rapids nearby. And it'll be a salvage operation that could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I understand the problems of anybody who's ever come here in the past to try and find this wreck.
There's nothing easy about diving in this river, that's for sure.
No, and as time goes on, it'll only get tougher and tougher.
Each year, the Mekong erodes more than 170 kilometers of riverbank. Tons of sand and silt pour into the racing waters. Sediment that would bury any treasure and make diving difficult. But the Fletchers believe they may have found the last resting place of La Grandière and are keeping the GPS coordinates a secret, shared only with the Laotian authorities. So the mighty Mekong will hold on to its secrets until another day.